You knew it was coming. Let's talk about the 2021 NHL Draft Lottery, because with yesterday's Vancouver and Calgary game that was concluded, both of those teams have now officially finished their seasons. And with that, every team has now played 56 games. You could really debate as to whether or not the Vancouver Canucks should have played all 56 games, but that's besides the point. We have ourselves what is the final NHL Draft Lottery odds given to us here by the National Hockey League. The NHL Draft Lottery itself will be held on June 2nd, and these are going to be our odds. The first overall team is the Buffalo Sabres that have a 16.6% chance at getting the first overall pick. The Anaheim Ducks are second with a 12.1% chance of getting the first overall pick. The Seattle Kraken are in here as the third team. It says here that they're assigned the third seed with the same lottery odds as the fourth seed, so Seattle and New Jersey are actually tied in terms of the odds, but if neither of these teams win, then Seattle will automatically get the third pick, because that's just kind of how the system has been drawn up. You have a lottery done for 1 and 2, and then Seattle, because they're going to be the new team, they're going to be in there at third overall over New Jersey. Fourth overall, we already said it's New Jersey. Fifth overall, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets over here with an 8.5% chance of winning the first overall pick. Sixth overall, you have yourselves Detroit with a 7.6% odds. This is kind of the territory that a lot of these teams are kind of getting really concerned, because the max amount of spots that you're allowed to drop in this year's draft is 2. You can have 2 teams underneath you in these odds win first and second overall, which would push you down twice. So with Detroit being at the 6th overall spot, you have a lot of Red Wings fans speculating, okay, who should we take at 8th overall? Because, you know, we're going to draft 8th. That's just how the draft lottery odds work for Detroit. Same goes with the Vancouver Canucks, who are down here at 9th, skipping past San Jose, who have the 7th best odds at 6.7%, and the LA Kings, who have the 8th best odds at 5.8%. Vancouver is in a spot where they won so many of their last games on the year. And despite the fact that like a week ago they were at that 4th overall spot with New Jersey, actually not even a week ago, like 4 days ago, they were behind New Jersey in the standings. They had that 4th overall spot on lock. Then they beat Edmonton. Then they beat Calgary. Then they go to overtime and they drop to 9th. So they're over here with the 9th best odds. The worst they can do is 11th, because if any 2 teams underneath Vancouver end up winning, then yeah, that's what happens. Next up, though, you have the Ottawa Senators at 10th overall with a 4.5% chance at winning the lottery. Honestly, pretty good for Ottawa, seeing how they ended off this season with a very good stretch. They were climbing up power rankings like crazy. We saw some good performances out of their young guys. They really did show off to everybody that, yeah, they're a lot better than we thought they would have been. And the fact that they didn't finish last in the NHL standings this year for the North Division kind of proves that. Then you have Arizona at 11, and this is a crazy conversation to have. Arizona has a 3.1% lottery odds at winning the first overall pick, and their normal odds are just at 11th seed. But the NHL announced the forfeiture of the Coyotes' first-round pick in the 2021 draft in sanctions announced on August 26. Arizona being selected in either lottery will result in a redraw. Now, I don't know if that means specifically, okay, if the Coyotes win the second pick and, let's say, Vancouver wins the first pick, do they redraw both the first and the second overall pick, or just the pick that Arizona won by itself? Because Arizona, as we noted, they are indeed under flack for John Chayka illegally testing prospects, and they're forfeiting their first-round pick in this year as a result. We already spoke about this, but just in case you were wondering, the forfeiture works as if there just wasn't going to be a pick made at all. Assuming Arizona doesn't win the lottery and they stay at 11th overall, you're going to have picks number 1 through 10 selected, and then for 11th overall, you're not going to actually have a presentation. You're just going to have the team skip out on the pick, and then number 12, Chicago, will go afterwards. So essentially, if you do the math here, if Arizona forfeits their first-round pick in 2021, you will essentially have 31 players get drafted and not 32, despite the fact that there will be 32 teams assigned to 32 different picks in the first round. One of those picks just will not have a player. Next up, though, Chicago, 2.7% chance at winning the first overall pick. How crazy would that be, man? Seeing that Kirby Dach lottery win back in 2019, and then having another one soon. Oh boy, just the possibilities there with the Chicago Blackhawks. But it's kind of funny how the Blackhawks are in a spot where they were honestly seen by many as a potential lock for the playoffs after that really good start they had. But then they started to fall down back to earth. You had Kirby Dach return, and then Kirby Dach leave again. Sucks to see Kirby Dach in that unfortunate situation of injuries, but still, the Blackhawks, they didn't make the playoffs. They're still here with the 12th best odds. Calgary is up next with a 2.2% chance at winning the first overall pick. Kind of crazy how this team was so close to contending for the playoffs this season when you had yourselves the Montreal meltdown towards the end of the year and Calgary barely hanging in there, only getting eliminated in like the last few days of the regular season. Now they're here, 2.2% odds. If they don't win, then okay, they get 13th. The worst they can do is 15th. It's unlikely, but the worst they can do is 15th. If any of the Flyers, the Stars, or the Rangers end up winning, the Flyers have a 1.8% chance at winning the lottery. They're at the 14th best odds right here. 14 is where they picked in 2019 when they selected Cam York in the first round. But that was an interesting one because they traded down with Arizona. Oddly enough, the rankings are actually really reflective of that year because Arizona traded up from 14 to 11 to take Soderstrom, while Philly traded down from 11 to 14 to take Cam York, and now you have the exact same results here in the lottery odds for 2021. That's really funny, actually. Dallas is in here 15th overall. They have a 1.4% odds at winning the first overall pick, and then you have the Rangers. Back in here, the 16th team. They're the best team to be included in the draft lottery process. They have a 1% odds at winning the first overall pick. I saw way too many Rangers fans looking at these draft lottery odds like, oh, we're gonna do it again. We have a chance. 1%. Let's go ahead and do it. And you know, it is extremely unlikely. We know that, but it's just crazy how every year there seems to be a team that just comes out of nowhere and takes over and gives themselves a victory after having like 5% odds or whatever. It's happened most years ever since the new draft lottery system was introduced, and it's why this year we have ourselves 2 lotteries done instead of what was normally established as 3 the previous years. So, the Buffalo Sabres, even if they don't win first or second overall, the worst they can do is draft third, I think, and then depending on who else wins, you would have Anaheim at 4, Seattle at 5, etc., just go down by 2, depending on who wins. So, these are the draft lottery odds, and honestly, I'm really excited in seeing how exactly everything is going to go down. We all know that the top 10 in this year's draft is really wonky, and it really could be scrambled about depending on who you ask, so there isn't really a guaranteed number 1 overall pick, but I wouldn't be surprised if it would be Owen Power, so whichever team ends up getting Power first overall, then hey, okay, good for you guys having the first overall pick. It's just going to be really interesting seeing what happens after. Do you play Owen Power right away in the NHL? Because every other first overall pick since Eric Johnson in 06, I believe, has played in the NHL after being selected first overall. You didn't have a scenario since Johnson and Ovechkin technically, because there was a lockout that year, where the first overall pick doesn't play immediately in the NHL. Do you see the same with Power? Because honestly, I don't know if he's really ready to play NHL hockey right away. Furthermore, if it's not even Power that's taken first overall, what do you do then? Beniers? Hughes? Lots of conversations to have. We certainly don't know what's going on, but you know what? That's part of the fun, isn't it? So talk to me in the comments what you think about the draft lottery odds. What team do you cheer for, and who do you want to draft? If you want a certain guy, there's a certain player on your mind, let me know where you feel he's going to be available. What's the best that you would need to do in the draft to be able to take your guy? Obviously, it's easy to say, okay, let's just draft first overall and take Jesper Wallstedt. That's easy to say, but hey, we're trying to get conversation here in the comments. So talk to me in the comments about all the stuff for the draft. We'll do more Why I Want videos as the playoffs continue, and I think eventually we'll try to get some more content out there for the draft lottery itself. I hope you enjoyed this video. So, and bye.